So hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is my very first video. I'm very excited to start this. First off, I'm going to start off by apologizing for the audio. I know it's bad, but as I go on, I'll buy better equipment and it will get better. But I'm very excited to start this videos about politics, about election, about what's going on. So let's start off. So I'm gonna start first off by the state of what's going on. Today, Trump's gonna hold his first rally since coronavirus started. It's gonna be in Oklahoma. It's definitely bound to get some headlines, so we'll see what comes out of that. As for the state of the election, so right now, national polls put Biden ahead by a significant margin in the national polls. His margin has shrunk a little bit since the protest, but it still stands strong. So he's still considered the favorite. But now I'm gonna go on a state by state basis. First off, the states that are already filled in. Those are states that we know how they're gonna go in the election unless something big happens. We know that those red states are gonna go to Trump and those blue states are gonna go to Biden. There's not much that can change that, so we're gonna start with that. And after that, we're gonna go. These are the states that are not in either red or blue are the battleground states, the ones that are gonna be decided by how the campaign plays out. So I'm gonna start off by the ones that are like have the biggest margin right now, and those are gonna be Michigan has a pretty big margin on the polling for Biden. Polling puts him up by 13, 16, 15. There's one poll that puts him up by 2, but it's a C minus pollster that's rated by 538. So it seems like Biden's pretty solidly ahead right now. And let's remember that in the 2016 election, Trump won Michigan, but it was by a pretty slim margin. So it seems like Biden has a very solid edge right now there. So we're gonna go ahead and put it in solid blue for now. Of course, this can change, but as of right now, it seems like it's gonna go to Biden comfortably. From there, we move to Maine. So Maine doesn't have a lot of polling, but it was a close state, less than 5 points in the 2016 election. So it seems to be close, but we don't have polling there. So we're gonna put it in solid blue, but it's a state that we want to keep our eye on to see what happens. From there, we're gonna move to Ohio. Ohio is a different story from the other two states that we have discussed so far. Ohio voted for Trump by a significant margin, more than 5 points in 2016, and the polling puts Biden ahead by 1 or 2 points, but there's other polling putting Trump ahead by 2. And based on the results of the 2016 election, Trump won by 8. Unless I see a good poll with Biden ahead significantly, I'm gonna say that's gonna lean Trump just because the margin in 2016 was pretty significant. So from there, we're gonna move to these other states that we're gonna talk now. Well, with the exception of Minnesota, are states that are gonna be very very close. We're not gonna know for sure which way they're gonna go until the election, but we'll try our best to discuss what's going on. In Minnesota, Minnesota's interesting because in the 2016 election, it won by 1 point something percent, so it was a pretty close state. So and the Trump campaign wanted to win that state this cycle. They thought they had a pretty good shot, but just yesterday, a poll came out with Biden ahead by 16 points. It's a C-rated pollster, but still pretty significant margin. Um, so it seems like Biden's ahead there significantly according to the polling. So we're gonna put in solid blue, but this can change. More polling is needed. We only have 2 polls in the last month or so. One has Biden ahead by 5, the other Biden by 16. So we don't have a clear picture yet. We're gonna need a lot of more polling to know what's going on there for sure. From Minnesota, we're gonna go to Arizona. Arizona is an interesting state. It voted for Trump by 4 point something points in the 2016 election, but all polling seems to indicate that it's going blue this cycle. I mean, Biden's ahead by 4 points in two recent polls, and by 1 point in another poll, and Trump's only ahead in one poll, and it's by only 1 percentage point. So this is going to be a battleground state. It's going to be a very hard fought battle. But as of today, Biden's ahead in the polling. And also, if you could look at the Senate race that is going on in that state, the Democrat candidate has a big lead there. So I use that as sort of an indicator too, to see that the Democrats and Biden have a small edge here so far. I'm gonna put it in light blue because this is gonna be very hard fought. But it seems like Democrats have an edge there. From Arizona, we're gonna go to Iowa. Iowa is a battleground. It has been trending red as of late. In the 2016 election, Trump won it comfortably. And in the polling so far, Trump's ahead in every poll. Some by 1 point. In others, it's pretty hard fought. But in earlier polls from about March, Trump was ahead by about 12, 19 points. By 10 points, sorry, in the poll against Biden in March. So it seems to be trending red. I'm gonna put it in the lean red so far, lean Republican. But I would expect to see Iowa vote Republican in the when the election comes around. From there, we're gonna go to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, very intriguing state because it doesn't have a lot of polling. It hasn't been polled much so far, so that doesn't give us a clear picture of where that state is going. It's going to be a very important state. It carries 20 electoral votes, so it's going to be very, very important for the election. So far, Biden in the 538 average is ahead by 5 points, but polling is very confusing in Pennsylvania. There's polling with Trump ahead by 5 or 4, and there's polling with Biden ahead by 9 or 3. So we really have no idea what's going on in Pennsylvania. We need good polling to come out from there so we can have an idea of what's going on. So far, we can just guess. And the best guess, in my opinion, so far would be to look at the recent polls and kind of look at the national polls to see what's going on there. Also, we can look historically. Pennsylvania was Democrat in the previous elections up to 2016. It was a surprise when Trump won it in 2016. So I'm going to put it lean blue just because the state of the election seems to be favoring Biden. But this is a state that has no polling and seems to be very interesting because in the little polling that we have, one has Trump ahead and the other one has Biden ahead. So we have really no idea what's really going on. But if the election were held today, I would guess that it would go to Biden. So we see right here that just with these states, Biden would win the election. So we have that already. So it seems like Biden has a considerable edge so far. But the other states, we're gonna go over New Hampshire. New Hampshire was close also in 2016. Hillary barely won it. It's an intriguing state. It's very small, only 4 electoral votes, but it's important when election times comes. Recent polling has Biden ahead by up by around 8 or 7 points, so that's interesting. We don't have a lot of polling. We only have one recent poll from New Hampshire. But if we go off that poll, Biden had by 7, and historical trends, Biden seems to have an edge so far in New Hampshire as of if the election were held today. From there, we're gonna go to Florida. Florida's an interesting state because polling seems to have Biden ahead there. Recent polling has Biden ahead by 7, 11, 10, 3, 3, or 1, which is very interesting because Florida tends to be a very hard fought battleground state. Obviously, 2000 election, Florida decided by a couple hundred votes. 2016, Florida wasn't that open either. So it's interesting state, but polling seems to indicate Biden has an edge. And the reason why Biden seems to have that edge is because he's overperforming with voters over the age of 65. If you compare him to Hillary, he seems to be doing a lot better with those voters. So Florida obviously has a lot of those voters. So that gives Biden a bit of an edge when it comes to election time. So far, um, it seems to be leaning towards Biden, but I would keep an eye on that state because I would not be surprised at all if that changes as the campaign picks up in these coming months. From there, we're going to move to Georgia. Georgia voted for Trump in 2016. The polling seems to be very confusing. We have two recent polls done in June. One has Biden ahead by 2, but that is a Democratic leaning pollster. It's public policy polling, so it tends to skew the results a bit Democratic. We have another poll that puts Trump ahead by 4. So if we go off that polling and historical trends that Georgia has voted Republican in recent elections, we can say that Georgia will probably vote for Trump as of today. Obviously, this is not sure, but the facts, the polling, and historical data seem to indicate that it would vote for Trump if the election were held today. We have 2 states remaining. We have North Carolina. North Carolina also voted for Trump in 2016 election. It has voted Republican recently also. So it's a confusing state. It's a definition of a battleground as of as equally as other states we have discussed so far. So polling seems to put Biden ahead by a bit there in North Carolina recently, but we did have a poll come out, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday that had Trump ahead by 3 points. So that's good news for the president and his campaign that poll put him ahead. The only good news he has received as of late in polling. So Trump was ahead in that polling, voted Republican in 2016. I'm going to put it leans red because of that. We need more polling also from North Carolina, but I would be surprised to see North Carolina vote for Biden in this election. Our only state that we have remaining would be Wisconsin. Wisconsin is voted for Trump in 2016 too. Polling seems to put Biden ahead there also. But it's close, definitely. But it's a state whose demographics look a lot like Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Minnesota. All those states look very similar, so their margins are going to be similar. Although Ohio is trending more Republican as of late. But Wisconsin, if we look at the polling, we look at recent information, it seems like Biden has a small edge currently. Um, Not big. I mean, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, those states are going to determine the elections, and all of those 3 states are very close in the polling, and we know they're going to be close. For example, if we switch all of these 3 states to Republican, we see that Trump has just enough votes, electoral votes, to win the election. So those 3 states are going to decide the election. We need a lot of more polling. We still have a lot of time to go. But today, if we look at the polling that we have today, at the information we have today, it looks like Biden would have a small edge in those 3 states. So today, the election would probably go to Biden. It looks like that. That's the information we have so far. But obviously, this is gonna vary a lot. We're gonna see a lot of information come in the coming months as the campaign picks up. So this is obviously going to change. This is what we have so far as of today, June 20. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in into this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know anything that you thought of the video, any other content that you'd like to see. Let me know in the comments, and I'll be glad to follow up on that. Thank you very much, and hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you next time on the next video. Thank you so much.